Sitting with the ambassador is Mr. Lou Gitter, who is somewhat new to the embassy's community. He's been here for less than a year with his wife. And he comes from a business background, an international business background in New York, before going ahead and joining the State Department. And please just stand up just for a second and turn around and wave, and if you don't join me in welcoming him, because I love the full range of all government officials. But it's really cool when we have somebody who really understands business as part of the team too. So he will be very valuable to us and a very strong addition to the embassy team. What we're going to do now is we're going to move back to New York. And we're going to have a bit of a discussion with, there he is. How are you, my friend? So we're going to have a presentation from the Consul General in New York City, who works for the government of Luxembourg. And we thought it would be really nice tonight if we could have a couple of different points of views from a couple of different directions on the same subject. So, we turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be here with you again after being with you last year in a different role. Last year I was representing the Minister of the Economy, and at that time I didn't know that I would fly over and now be posted in New York. I was asked, and so first of all, I would like to thank Paul and AmCham for organizing this. It's great that you're always being part of the reports on the Transatlantic Partnership. I was asked by a lady, Mrs. Lokshin, working for AmCham, whether I had a written speech that I could send her so you could put it on your website. Unfortunately, when you're the third speaker in a row in an event like this, you cannot have a written speech. I remember last year I had a written speech with loads of figures. These figures were already touched upon by the ambassador. So I had to improvise and tell you a little bit. Actually, I think that Francisco da Cunha is very right when he says that our relationship is not only economic but also cultural and social. The ambassador highlighted also our historic ties and our shared values on top of the economy. So last year, what I said was I told a story about the immigration of Luxembourgers to the US. Actually, in the 19th century, about a third of our population left Luxembourg for the US. And that's something that I've seen a lot here since I arrived. But I will not go into details on this. I could have told you something about the Battle of the Bulge, but that has been already covered by by Minister Buttel and also by Ambassador Barrett. The only thing I will tell you, and that's a scoop, is that we will organize at the end of January also an event here in New York. There is traditionally always an event at the end of January, on the 25th to be precise, at the end of the Battle of the Bulge. In DC, there is also one organized by my colleague on the West Coast, together with the Belgian colleagues. But we decided not later than this Monday with my colleague here in Belgium that we should start to organize events also in New York together with the Association for the Battle of the Bulge to commemorate. Because the ambassador said it, I mean, and thank you for how your family was engaged in this war on the side of the Europeans. on the side of Luxembourg to what they did will not be forgotten. And actually, if I have a family, if I look at my little boy who's 9 years old and how passionate he is about the Battle of the Bulge, about the Second World War, we went to Normandy this summer, I can assure you the next generation is ready to not forget what happened. So, what is left for me to tell you about is, I will tell you a little bit about my experience since I arrived in New York. I arrived in New York in August. I started on the 1st of September. But as the ambassador did not mention as many figures as he did last year, I would just like to underline how important the trade relationships between Luxembourg and the US are. Actually, the trade between the US and Luxembourg stands at 25 billion euro. So the US is the number 4 trading partner of Luxembourg, but that is only behind European countries, and actually the US is the only non-European country in the top 10 of our trading partners. With 8.3% of our trade being done with the US, actually that is more than the trade of Luxembourg with all of Asia. Plus, I would also like to underline, and I think that's maybe another reason why things will not change so much between in the relationship between Luxembourg and the US. We have actually a negative trade balance, so we are like there's a trade balance of 10 billion euro in favor of the US. So I guess that the US loves us for that. So about me coming here and about the story and about what I've seen so far, rather on the economic side, I'd actually like to start in April, because I came for a week to in April. That's one of the missions that Minister Buttel mentioned. And what we did, that was for the Luxembourg American Business Award, which was awarded to Redwire, a space company. But during that week, we visited all the large industrial companies. And I think it's important. I mean, people know that there are large industrial companies from the US that are based in Luxembourg. But I think it's important to stress that they continue to invest in Luxembourg. And if you look at the big ones, I mean, Goodyear, I have the Goodyear blimp here. So Goodyear was, they just opened a new plant in Luxembourg in 2022. So that was obviously a big investment into an Industry 4.0 plant, highly automated, highly robotized for specialty tires. Last year, Guardian reopened their glass furnace after completely refurbishing it. And that is an investment in for the next 20 years. And these are huge investments. If you basically completely dismantle the furnace and then completely rebuild it, you don't do that if you don't believe that you should stay in Luxembourg for the next 20 years. And most recently, just on one hand, you obviously have the Luxembourg companies that come to the US. We supported 2 programs. One was the incubator of the university, of the Luxembourg University, and a second one called the Benelux Catalyst, where startups from Luxembourg come to New York and try to swim into in this sharp pond that you have here. On the other side, we see interest from incubators and VCs to grow their startups, to help their startups and the startups in their portfolios to grow abroad. And there, Luxembourg is certainly on the map. We can certainly do more, but there is a lot of interest for Europe and for Luxembourg. I'm not sure you still see me. I just got locked out of my computer, but I will be back soon. Yes, here I am. Then, what we should not forget, we're talking about transatlantic. That includes Canada. Canada is obviously not as big a trading partner as the US, but it is nevertheless important. So there was a trade mission just about a month ago, where the Chamber of Commerce came to Canada, and from New York we do cover also Canada as a trade and investment office. Then, and it has been mentioned, finance. Finance is obviously something, especially when you're based in New York, where you see that there's a lot happening. We had a visit by the Minister of Finance. We visited large banks. I mean, there are 10 extremely large banks, the US banks that are in Luxembourg. We visited insurance companies, 6 insurance companies, non-life insurance companies are based in Luxembourg. They mainly came after Brexit. Asset managers, I mean, they are all in Luxembourg, basically. There are more than 40 that are in Luxembourg. All the big ones are. Sorry for the noise. Fintech companies too. PayPal is very well known. Obviously, Amazon payments, but Amazon not only payments is in Luxembourg. It's just huge, and you really get that grip on how important Luxembourg is for these institutions when you visit them, when you are on one of the top floors of one of the highest skyscrapers in New York. You have a completely stunning view when you arrive, and there you get a feeling of how important these financial institutions are. And when then you get greeted by their CEO or their executive vice president, then you understand that Luxembourg is clearly not just any country in the world. So that's something that you can really feel when you're here. More recently, the Luxembourg PE Association was here. There too, you see that all of those that want to do business with Europe, be it to tap into investors, European investors, be it to invest into Luxembourg assets, they all know Luxembourg, and actually there is hardly an alternative for alternative funds in Europe. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I saw also in the finance is that there's a real ecosystem here in New York of law firms from Luxembourg, of international law firms that have a Luxembourg desk here, of consultancy companies, Deloitte one of them, of other service providers, especially for the fund industry, that have a Luxembourg edge and are present here. So there is a lot going on between our two countries, and that's something that I really experience on a day-to-day basis. But now I will go back to my really serious business. I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving and for the Ecclesia next week. Next week we have St. Nicholas coming here to the Luxembourg House. So I would like to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving and then happy St. Nicholas after that. Thank you so much.
That was a very nice presentation, and what we wanted to do is we wanted to show the multiple levels of connectivity between Luxembourg and the United States, so that you can see it from a variety of different perspectives. I'm glad that we have had the opportunity to do that. I quickly just want to make mention that the three of the top 10 companies in Luxembourg all happen to be American companies. I don't think there's any other country that has so many in the top 10 as America does. And again, on another level, that reinforces the connectivity. Among the guests that we have sitting out here with you tonight is a very dear and good friend of mine who happens to be our Government Relations Committee Chair for AmCham and fulfills the Government Relations Management responsibility for Amazon. So Italo, if you'd stand up quick so that everybody can see you. So yes, and they're definitely in the top 10 of the countries in the company. And I think 95% of all of you who are here tonight are affiliated with AmCham companies, so I have to thank you for that as well. Now we get to the fun stuff. And the fun stuff is my good friend, Thibaut Dorsey, who has come down here from Brussels. If you'll notice, I'm trying a little bit in advance to impress him about how cool we are here in Luxembourg, but now he gets to tell us all the details of this enormous transatlantic trade and investment study relationship. He's been working on this for a couple of years. He's an incredibly cool guy. Please give him a warm welcome.